Okay, good afternoon everyone. So here is a new chapter, that is the name of the chapter is determination of income and employment. Okay. Now there are some differences, not difference actually, when we talk about some concepts, it has another meaning in this particular chapter. Okay, when we say income, what do you mean by that? When I tell you income, what do you mean by that? Anyone? Can you say?
The remuneration a person earns after doing the work.
Remuneration of a person, what we are getting. That is what always comes to our mind. When we say consumption, what do you mean by that? Consumption. What do you mean by that? Hmm? Tell. Use of particular goods for our satisfaction. That is what you mean by, that is what whenever we say consumption, that comes to our mind. But in this chapter, when we are taking these terms, it has some other meanings also that we have to take into consideration. Okay. Now when we are telling income, in macro, when we tell income, you know that in micro, when we tell income, it can be income of a person, income of a firm, it can be like that. But when we study income in macro, that is mainly we are talking about national income. Okay. Now about employment. Employment, when we say, it's not about employment of a person, it is employment of all the resources in a particular country. So that is what, there is a little bit of difference you can see when we study these terms in micro and macro. In macro, it is all about aggregates. It's all about everything together. Okay, it's not about one firm, one person, it's not like that. It is different. So here, when we talk about income, what does it mean in macro? It is? Someone
National
can
income.
reply. Yeah, it is national income. When we talk about employment, what do you mean by that?
Employment
Employment of all
of
the resources of a particular country. Okay. Or about what we are going to study, mainly when we study macroeconomics about our country, when we are studying, we are talking about our country's employment of all resources. Okay. Now the determination, now here there is a term determination. Determination in the sense, how can we get the equilibrium level, in the sense in the employment of resources, or how can we get the equilibrium of national income. These kind of things we are studying in this particular chapter. So determination means determination of equilibrium level. Okay. So what are we going to study in this? Determination of equilibrium level of national income and employment of resources in a economy. Just once more, determination of equilibrium level of national income and employment of resources in an economy. So it is a macro study, and we consider all these things as the economy as a whole. So when we study what about a determination of equilibrium level or determination of income and employment means determination of level of national income and employment of all the resources in an economy. So it comes under a macro study, or it is a part of macroeconomics because it is relating to the economy as a whole. Okay. Next one, national income is a measure of production activity of the economy as a whole. Again, we are measuring what the production activity of our economy as a whole we are taking. From that only we are getting national income. So the determination of national income relates to what? Determination of national production. So two things from this. National income is what? From where are we getting the national income? From the production activity. So what do you mean by this national income, or when we determine national income, what all things we have to taken into consideration? National production also. Okay. So these understood everyone? Any doubt in this? No. Right? Next one. this study, how, what do you mean by this study? How are we going to see the equilibrium study? Last year you might have studied market equilibrium, or you might have studied equilibrium, consumers equilibrium you might have studied. Have you studied that? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So here, equilibrium output of a commodity by an industry you might have studied, or equilibrium or consumption of consumption by the consumer you might have studied. So this in equilibrium of commodity or equilibrium output of a commodity of a particular industry, how they decide that this is the equilibrium? Do you remember? When will the output production will be stopped? When will they stop that production? At what point? At what equilibrium? Can anyone say? At what level the industry will be in equilibrium? In equilibrium. When they will be in equilibrium? Any idea? Yes.
When demand is equal to supply.
When the demand is equal to supply. That means for a person, how the demand is, or when how the supply is, how supply is done by the production unit. So the industry will be in equilibrium when the demand and supply meet each other. Okay. So here Vishnu. So here you can see it is a, now when we are studying under macro, when we are studying the equilibrium, we are studying the determination of national income. Now in that determination of national income, we are relating all the goods and services together, not one industry. Okay, so we are studying about the aggregate output and aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Okay, so forces behind this, it is same, demand and supply, but when we are studying, it's not the demand for one particular product, not the demand supply of one particular product, but the whole products, whatever they are producing, whatever output is there in our economy, that will be taken, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Okay, got it? So this study, what they are just comparing with one industry and the national industry of all over our country. One industry, when it is coming under the study of micro. When we are taking the national income, that comes under the study of macro, and it is related to aggregate output, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Next one, when can we get the equilibrium? So equilibrium of national level, when can we arrive at equilibrium? When the
Demand is equal to
demand
supply.
is equal to supply. So here national level equilibrium when can we get? When the aggregate demand and aggregate supply, when it becomes equal, then we can say that equilibrium is there for the national income.
Ma'am, can you show the last slide once more?
Yes. So it is first I told you related to the industry, that comes under the study of micro. Next, in this chapter what you are going to learn, that is determination of national income, that comes under the macro. When we study all the goods and services together, that is considered as the aggregate output, and the forces behind the equilibrium output of a commodity by an industry or national income remains the same. What is that? Demand and supply. For an industry we say demand and supply simply, but for national income we say aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Done? Everyone please switch on your video. How many times I am telling? Some are having problem, okay, I can understand. What about others? Everyone together has problem? All of you have problem like in the connection, Wi-Fi, all those problem everyone is having together, or what? This problem? No, right? Okay. So what are the forces behind the determination of equilibrium? Can you tell? Anyone? What are the forces behind equilibrium? Two forces are there. Which are they? Amal, can you tell? Amal Raj, can you tell? What are the forces behind equilibrium? Yes.
Ma'am, demand and supply.
Demand and supply. So demand and supply, when we say simply, it mainly we are talking about commodity by commodity of a particular industry, like that. But when we talk about the determination of national income, it will be aggregate demand and supply. Okay. Now once more, when can we achieve equilibrium level? That when aggregate demand and aggregate supply is equal, that time, that level we call it as equilibrium level of national income. Now what do you mean by aggregate here? The whole country as a whole, whatever we are producing, whatever we are supplying, that comes under aggregate. So aggregate demands means demand for all the goods and services. Aggregate supply means supply of all the goods and services of in a particular country. Got it, everyone? So what do you mean by aggregate demand, Grishma? What do you mean by aggregate demand? Demand for all the goods and services by a country or in a country. Okay, Pavitra, can you repeat that? What do you mean by aggregate demand?
Demand for all goods and services by the country as a whole.
As a whole. Okay. Now, there were some theories, we say classical theory, modern theory. Okay, classical theory is old one. Modern theory is, we can say, somewhat recently it is introduced. Now, according to classical theory, national income is in equilibrium only at full employment level. There is a condition like that. When can we get equilibrium? Only at full employment level. Okay, listen once more. According to the classical theory, according to the old theories, what they say, according to those economists, they say that national income is in equilibrium only at full employment level. Only when there is full employment of all the resources. What do you mean by employment here? When we are talking about national income, what do you mean by employment here? Anyone?
The usage of all the resources.
All the resources. Employment means we are not talking about the job of a particular person. What are we telling? Employment of all the resources. So when we say, according to the classical theory, what they are telling, national income will be in equilibrium only when there is full employment of all the resources. But you can see there is a change in that. You might have heard about Keynes, and Keynes is given a new or he is changing that, and he is telling that national income can be in equilibrium even below the full employment level. So what he says that even the employment of resources are not fully done, or even the resources are not fully employed, that time also we can see this feature, that is equilibrium of national income. Got what I said? Everyone? Once more. Elvina, can you tell what do you mean when we can achieve equilibrium level of national income?
When the demand and supply will meet together.
When the demand and supply equals. Okay, or equilibrium is determined by two factors, aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Now what do you mean by aggregate demand? Aditya, what do you mean by aggregate demand? Demand for all goods and services by the country. Ashish, what point they have given regarding the national income according to the classical theory? Ashish?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the classical theory, what they have told about national income?
It depend upon the full employment
It
level.
depends upon the full employment level. That means national income will be in equilibrium at full employment of all the resources. But according to Keynes, what he is telling? Basil, can you tell? According to Keynes, what he tells about national income? When yes,
Can be in equilibrium
even below the full employment level, it is not necessary that there will be fully the resources are fully employed. Okay. Now next one, two terms you should know in this particular chapter, that they have given ex ante and ex post. Okay, but they are not using much this particular terms, but you just understand the meaning here, ex ante and ex post. Okay. Okay, now what do you mean by ex ante? Whatever has planned or expected before the event, that is the meaning of ex ante. Ex post means what has actually happened or result after the event. Okay, so two things here, ex ante and ex post. What do you mean by ex ante, Hadi? What is ex ante?
It depicts what has been planned or
Expected. What you have planned before the event, that is what you mean by ex ante. Ex post means, Sharath, what is ex post?
Not planned.
Hmm?
That hasn't been planned.
What is planned? Ex post means, louder, it's not audible, I feel your sound. Elvina, can you tell?
Which has actually happened or
Or
result
the
after the-
result after the event. Now I'll tell you what it is. Whenever we say consumption, I told you that we feel that what the people consumed, okay, that is what we are going to take. But it is not like that. We say that consumption he is going to consume in a particular year. In this chapter I am talking, not in any other area. Okay, when we say consumption according to this macro variable, what we are telling, he is going or he is planning to consume what all goods and services in the coming year or in a given period of time. So this is called as a ex ante or ex post. What it will be? That's what I said now, consumption. A consumer is going to consume what all goods and services in a given year. That will be considered as ex ante or ex post. Anyone?
ex ante.
Ex ante, because he has planned here. One more example I'll tell you. Investment. Okay, investment on a particular in a particular industry. So that will be ex ante or ex post. Investment. Investment is what actually we are planning. We are planning. Okay, one example they have given in your textbook. What is an inventory? What is an inventory? Anyone remembers what it is?
Unsold finished goods at the end of the year.
Okay, that means a stock. Okay. Now, one person is planning that rupees 100 worth inventory will be kept. Planning. Okay. Planning that rupees 100 worth inventory will be there at the end of the year. So this is considered as ex ante or ex post. Someone can reply.
Ex ante.
Ex ante, because she or he is planning that this much rupees worth stock will be there at the end of this particular year. But what happened at the end of the year or before the end of the year, you can see that there was a great demand for the product. So she could not keep that much stock at the end of the year. She spent 30 rupees worth inventory she used for selling. And what is remaining now? How much is remaining? Oh, she planned the 100 rupees stock will be kept, but from out of that she is selling 30 rupees worth product. So what is remaining?
70 rupees.
70 rupees worth stock is remaining. So now the inventory is how much?
70.
70. Okay. Now the 70 is ex ante or ex post?
Exposed.
Exposed. So what she planned before 100, that was ex ante, but what she is getting the result after the event, that was 70, and that is actually exposed. Okay. So these two terms they are using in this particular chapter to explain about the consumption or investment and all. Okay, just understand these two terms are there. Now, what do you mean by aggregate demand? Okay, aggregate demand in the sense it is the total value of final goods and services that all the sectors of the economy together planning to buy at a level of income during a period of time. Once more, total value of final goods and services that all the sectors of the economy, in the sense what all sectors we have? Karthik, what are the sectors of economy?
Primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Primary, secondary and tertiary. So if you take all these sectors together, whatever value of final goods and services they are planning to buy at a particular income during a period of time, that we call it as aggregate demand. So it is a planned one. Just once more, if you see the sentence, total value of all the final goods and services taken together, I mean in all the sectors taken together, planning to buy. They are planning to buy at a given level of income, at a given money or at a given level of income during a period of time. It can be 1 year. Okay, so that we call it as a aggregate demand. So here it is planned. So it comes under ex ante, or it is a planned demand. That is why we call it as ex ante. Okay, so by definition what you understood here, goods and services that can be purchased for consumption and investment are called final products. So in this one more meaning they have given. Some goods and services are purchased for consumption, some goods and services are purchased for investment. So aggregate demand is equal to total expenditure on consumption and investment. Aggregate demand equals to total expenditure on consumption and investment by all the sectors together. By all the sectors together. Anjo, can you tell what do you mean by aggregate demand? What is aggregate? Yes.
It refers to the total value of final goods and services that all sectors of country taken together.
Slowly.
Taken together are planning to buy at a given level of income during a period of time.
So aggregate demand, once more, total value of all the final goods and services that all the sectors of economy taken together in the sense all three sectors taken together are planning to buy. these things, final goods and services, at a given level of income during a period of time. That is what you mean by aggregate demand. Okay. Now, by definition, I told you that it has one more point in that goods and services, it can be purchased for consumption or investment. So, it is used either for consumption or for investment. So, aggregate demand is equal to what now? Total expenditure on consumption and investment. So, these are all planning, how much they are going to consume, how much they are going to invest. So, at different levels here, okay, at different levels, in the sense they have at the same time, you can see that, okay, one more thing, have you studied about the 2 sector, 3 sector and 4 sector model? 2 sector model you have studied, right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, in 2 sector models, there are only 2 sectors. Which are they?
Households and firm.
Households and
Firm.
firms. Okay, 3 sector, any idea?
Household, firm, and the government.
Household, firm and the government. And the last, open sector? Open means what? One more point is added. That will be exports and imports. So, what all will come? Households, firms, government and the remaining countries. You can take it in that way. 4 sector model or open economy, like that if you say, all these 4 categories will come. So, components of aggregate demand is given now next. What are those, what all things are coming in this components of aggregate demand? First one is private consumption expenditure. Second one is investment expenditure. Third one, government expenditure. And the last one is net exports. Now, in the 2 sector model, only these 2 will be there. Okay. In the 2 sector model, where we have only households and the firms, the first 2 will be there in 2 sector model. Okay. Now, in 3 sector model, you can see these 3 will be there. And at last, these 4 together, you can see that is open economy. So, aggregate demand in a 2 sector model, in the sense we have to take only first 2. Aggregate demand in a 3 sector model, in the sense we have to take the first 3. In an open economy means we have to take all the things. Have you heard about these words? Private consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure, net exports. Have you heard about it? Tomlin is present or not? No. Shubham, have you heard about these terms? All are sleeping or what? Shubham, can you hear me?
Yeah.
No. Okay, Karthik, have you heard about these terms?
Yes, ma'am.
What are those terms now? What you see here?
Ma'am, in order to calculate the national income.
Okay, in order to calculate the national income, you have learnt about this. I mean, if you add all these things, you will be getting national income. That is what you have learnt before. Now, the same, these topics, what was there in that chapter, a little bit explanation is given about this in this chapter also. You should know what it is. So, here first one, private consumption expenditure. What do you mean by private consumption expenditure? Aparna, do you know? What is private consumption expenditure?
Ma'am, the income which is being given by the individual households.
See the term private consumption expenditure. Income given. What do you mean by private consumption expenditure?
The expenditure which is incurred by the private firms or the
Yes,
private sector.
private people or private sector. Okay, so here private consumption expenditure means what? The planned expenditure. So here one difference they are telling, planned expenditure on what? Consumer goods and services by the households, what at a level of income, whatever income they have, at a level of that income during a given period of time. Now this demand is influenced by disposable income. What do you mean by disposable income, Aishwarya? What do you mean by disposable income?
I don't remember.
Okay, Karthik, do you remember?
Oh, ma'am.
No, dispose. Dispose means what? What do you mean by dispose?
Which is throwable.
Okay, which is throwable. Okay, for what purpose we are throwing that?
There is no need or no use.
No. Income we are throwing. Throwing means money we are throwing. It means that we don't want that. It's not like that. Income we are throwing on goods and services. So what do you mean by that?
Which is
It is the income which is there with me, so that I can spend. For example, whenever I have some income, maybe if I have a very good income, you know that a part of income will be taken as tax. So is tax will that whole income, okay, just let me say, if 1 lakh I have as a salary, okay, so in that whether can I use all these money for spending? Can I? Yes or no? I can use if I want, but there is something which, some part which I cannot use. What is that part? That is what? Tax. The tax, it should be paid to whom?
government.
Government. So what is remaining? That is disposable. The other one, other part of income which I am paying to the government, that is not, that will not be a part of disposable income. So disposable income in the sense, that part of income which I can dispose for consumption or using only for my purpose, only for my part of consumption, not anywhere else. Okay, so like that kind of, so you can see that this demand is always influenced by what? Disposable income, what I have with me. Okay, so once more, what do you mean by private consumption expenditure? It is a planned expenditure on final goods and services by whom? By the households. They may be having a particular income at a given period of time. And this demand is influenced by disposable income, in the sense whatever income is there for the, with the person for spending. Okay. Next one, investment expenditure. What do you mean by investment expenditure? Here also you can note that point, planned expenditure. Okay. So planned expenditure on capital goods by whom? Producers during a period of time. Now capital goods, they are in the different forms. It's not that only machinery or building comes under capital goods. There are various other things also. Inventory, equipments, buildings, all these things are coming under capital goods. So investment expenditure is in the sense what? Planned expenditure on new capital goods by the producers during a given period of time. Now when we say capital goods, it also includes inventory, equipment, buildings, machinery. Next one, investment expenditure comprises what all things? We are spending it for fixed capital, sometimes assets like machinery. Fixed capital only we call it as machinery, equipment, buildings, all these things comes under fixed capital. Inventory means what? The stock, what I told you before. The stock what they are planning to keep at the end of the year, or what the stock is remaining at the beginning of the year. Residential construction in the sense the houses or whatever constructed by the people, that comes under residential construction. So all these things comes under what kind of expenditure?
Investment.
Investment expenditure. Okay. Next one, just 1 minute. 2 to 50. Okay. Now, yes. Next one, government expenditure. What do you mean by government expenditure? Here also see planned consumption expenditure of the government. Now they provide lot of services to the people, lot of infrastructure is built by the people, built by the government. Maybe they have to spend money on law and order, they have to pay salaries to the government officials. For that purpose government is spending a lot of money. So that is what government expenditure, planned consumption expenditure of the government, how much they are going to spend on all these items like maintaining law and order, defense, education, health, sanitation, roads, all those things come. Now what do you mean by net exports? This you might have studied. What is net export? Minus imports, right? Now, in that also what all things are coming? Planned expenditure by the foreigners on goods and services produced in our country during a period. So here we are not adding imports, here we have to reduce the imports from exports. So these are the important parts of what am I talking about? What is the topic of this? This comes under what?
Aggregate demand.
Okay, aggregate demand. So net exports in the sense planned expenditure by the foreigners on our goods and services, whatever we are producing. Okay, from that we are reducing imports. Now Basil, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Now don't go, okay? Okay, just 1 minute. Let me see whether it is done. Okay. Yes. Are you sharing? Yes, okay.
Afternoon, we are going to do a seminar on demonetization. Demonetization is a policy of the government that withdraws the status of legal tender from the existing currency, which means that the current form of money is withdrawn by the government and is replaced with the new notes. Once legal tender is withdrawn, the existing currency are reduced to pieces of paper. These notes lose their acceptance as a medium of exchange, or they lose their power to buy goods and services in the market.
Why
Which
is it
means
so?
that after
Basil, why is it so?
because after demonetization is done, the old currency cannot be used for buying any goods or services from the market.
Okay, so one
Got it.
point you can tell. You just say a few points related to that. You can tell in your, just explain in your own words. Yes. Next.
That after demonetization is done, the old currency is replaced by a new currency which may be of the same denomination or may be of a higher denomination. Demonetization in India has taken place 3 times in the years of 1946, 1978 and 2016.
Okay, that's an extra information.
Demonetization in 2016, it was announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 8th of November. The rupees 500 and 1000 notes were taken out of circulation, and they also introduced the new notes of 500 and rupees 2000. Objective for demonetization to reduce tax evasion. Tax evasion means using illegal means to avoid paying tax. So to reduce this, demonetization was done. To tackle the problem of corruption, to curb terrorism, circulation of fake currency, demonetization stopped the usage of illegal currency or fake currency in the country to help in the reducing the interest rates.
What is that to help the problem? I mean, to tackle the problem of corruption. How can we tackle that? How can we tackle the problem of corruption? Corruption here mainly they are talking about taking money. Okay, so how can we solve that problem of corruption? Have you heard about black money? Basil, have you heard about black money? No. Okay, continue.
benefits, increase savings. People will tend to deposit their cash in the bank rather than at home, so it helps them to save more. Lower lending rates. With demonetization, the money moves from people to banks. Thus, there is better circulation of money, which leads to lower lending rates.
Okay.
Better economy. As more cash is with the bank, there is higher circulation of money in economy. Government receives more taxes and can undertake more development projects. Curbing antisocial activities. Cash is the mode of antisocial activities.
All of you
so
can
it
note down
forces
these points, okay? These points are very good. What are the benefits of demonetization? You can note it down. Once more, can you say that?
Which one?
Benefits? Increased savings.
Increased savings. People will tend to deposit their cash in the bank rather than at home, so it helps them to save more.
Yes.
Lower lending rates. With demonetization, the money moves from people to banks. Thus, there is better circulation of money, which leads to lower lending rates. Better economy. As more cash is with the bank, there is higher circulation of money in economy. Government receives more taxes and can undertake development projects.
Yes, okay.
Curbing antisocial activities. Cash is the mode of antisocial activities, so it forces antisocial units to find ways to get rid of the old currency notes. Thank you.
That's all. Right? Well explained. Good. I mean, more points are added. It's very good. The last slide was very good. So those who have, I mean, some new points you can add. What are the benefits of this demonetization? Okay, and the explanation also was good of that particular one. The other one you were not doing, but it's well done. It's very good. Okay. Now let me take the attendance. Just 1 minute. Aditya. Aditya present. Okay, Anila. Okay, Anju. Because you people have kept it off, I cannot see you suddenly. That's why. Anju. Present, right? Aparna.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, Anju, where is he? He's not. Okay, Atul absent. Basil present. Femina absent. Okay, Hannah present. Karthik present. Irfan
Present.
okay, present. Pavitra
Present.
present. Okay, Sharath present. Shubham Shubham present. Okay, Adi
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Aishwarya
Present, ma'am.
present. Amal absent. Amal Raj present. Ashish
Present,
present.
ma'am.
Elvina present. Grishma present. Sneha absent. Okay then, so 2 minutes early I'm leaving you. 50, right? Okay. Okay then, thank you everyone. Bye. You all can leave. Okay, let me finish, that's better.